Okay, there's a one mid-gear turbocharger. And I have to say mid-gear turbocharger crap because maintenance and production is already laughing at me. But don't do that after I'm really not too escalated. So then this Porsche and this Mazda are jockeying me for a position, and then I think I have a leg to stand on or any sure footing, and I don't know what's this to my right or on my side, and then turns out it's a Suzuki VGT, which should be fine. Except no, because then they're driving like a child, and then they do this, which is so freaking dangerous, and then you're off the track into the race, right? Also, because of the overtakes, the transmission or the shifting points are like this at Watkins Glen, which is why you said like the track is built wrong. Well, no, it's just Watkins Glen has this about itself. Okay. Now, the basics of the game say that at a turn you make an out, in, out, right? Now, whilst in a race though, there are several out and outs. Okay, now, because of the inclination or the elevation and then the hill up or down, you cannot upshift or downshift, okay, without losing your position or just an injury, right? Now, some cars, when you're on the driver's seat, you're on the left or on the right. Okay, so is your weight. When you're considering the wheelbase by the weight distribution and the weight, and then the aspiration. Okay, now it's mid-gear turbocharger crap because maintenance and production says this is a McLaren or this is an RS01 for this example, or a 4C. Right, difficult to repair or upkeep and then clean up and then just, well, production. Okay. So then I've already lost the car to one of these incidents after the Suzuki VGT. And so this McLaren and this Volkswagen says so prominently. Right. Or pronouncedly so. Right. And then I just have to relent to maintenance and then be like, cause I heard it, or just, you know, and then you could never tell. That's why it's just, whilst you're cornering or turning or taking a turn, you have to mind the steering response every time or every tenth of a second, or even thousandths of a second. Just tenth of a second will do you just fine. Nobody needs this kind of psychosis, psychopathy, sociopathy, autism, ADD, OCD, and then depression, mania, and then manic depression. You could just be epileptic, or just, you know, the schizophrenia will have you, and then why do you need to be so? Okay, maybe not. Well, just saying. Wheelbase. Right. The width of the car. Mainly, mostly, and then the length. Okay. And then the height, really. Okay. Now where you are as a driver. Power to weight distribution and such. Right. On the surface of the track and then on the tires. Okay. And then you're on the brakes before and after the turn, and then you're shifting before and after, earlier than not. Okay. No matter what you do, maintenance and production is still laughing at you. Okay, so then don't do that. Never do any of it. And then the aspiration. Thank you. And then the temperature of just the wind speed, and then hot air goes up, cold air goes down. Shit, then fuck. I'm driving this RS01. They're driving that McLaren. They're driving that 4C. Okay. I have such a steering response, so do they. The 4C says I'm a small car, I'm a heavy car. this is an easy fix because it doesn't need that much space to be. The RS1 says so, but then because I'm big pieces. And the McLaren says, well, I'm complicated, but then you could just use the same pieces and then just repair them. Okay, roughly. Well, just to generalize or just to use my imagination, just blank page. Okay. But we're all turbochargers, right? Because this aspiration, we're going faster than we should be able to, naturally aspirated. And then we're mid-rear, so then now we're steering faster than. That's why you said thousands of a second, and I'm looking at you like that's hilarious to management. And then maintenance and production. So you're always gonna have issues like this. Unless your front wheel naturally aspirated, and then you can't build mid-rear turbochargers and then rear rears and then mid-rear superchargers without front wheel naturally aspirated, and then that's all you have to drive the other ones. So then you don't get stuck with like a manufacturer or like a way of doing things. And I am telling you, you can't do this. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. For now. So far, yet. Give it decades or, I don't know, talk to management. Apply for a job. Talk to maintenance. Apply for a job. Talk to production. Apply for a job. Or read a book. And then buy it and then like it and then read it again. No? And then talk to people about such, no? Such. They don't have to be your friends, or you don't have to marry them, and then relationship and a baby. But you could just, be a person. Why is that not a thing that is? Right? Right. ID, documentation, and such. Fuck. That's why I like the RS01. That's why I like the 4C. That's why I even like the McLaren. But the McLaren is looking at me like, if you're not gonna get the NSX pissed off at you, right? That's why I like the Suzuki VGT. And then it's just like, what are you gonna do about the Citroen, and then, right? What does Ferrari even do around here? Whilst BMW all of a sudden. Right. Don't do that. Without the Viper, too? Right. Some of them say front wheel naturally aspirated, but they might as well be mid-rear turbocharger and then mid-rear supercharger and then rear turbocharger or whatever it is. And then the headache of don't do any of this, nobody likes it, and then just give it a good couple hundred seconds or an hour and a half or 20 minutes and then just get the fuck out of my face. Right. We're going to die though? Uh-huh. The good stuff again. You know what it is? It's just the good stuff. It's just again. Don't even ask. It runs out. Okay, let's do that. Did you do? Shit. What? Life without death? I still. Alright, 10 fingers, 10 toes, 10 parts to a second. Time to go, time to die. Time be timed up. We should be fine.